What if I told you that hidden within the pages of Scripture are references to specific leaves that ancient people believed held the secret to long life, vitality, and a body that resisted decay? Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally, leaves that were applied to wounds, brewed into medicines, eaten as food, and woven so deeply into biblical healing practice that they appear alongside some of the most profound spiritual teachings ever recorded. Most people read right past these references. They see leaves mentioned in Scripture and assume it's poetry, assumed it's allegory, assumed ancient people were being symbolic when they talked about leaves for healing. But here's what happens when you take those references seriously and cross-reference them with modern clinical research. You discover that the specific plants mentioned in biblical contexts contain compounds that fight oxidative stress, reduce chronic inflammation, protect cellular DNA, support organ regeneration, and activate longevity pathways that scientists are only now beginning to map. The ancients didn't have the vocabulary of telomeres and sirtuins and autophagy, but they had observation, thousands of years of watching which plants kept people strong, vital, and resistant to the diseases of aging. And they recorded what they found in the most important texts their civilization produced. Today I'm showing you 7 healing leaves connected to biblical tradition that modern science is confirming have genuine anti-aging and restorative properties. Stick around because number 5 on this list was described in Ezekiel's vision of paradise as a leaf whose specific purpose was healing. Molecular biologists just discovered it activates a cellular repair mechanism that no pharmaceutical currently replicates. And number 7 appears in the very last chapter of the Bible itself, described as leaves for the healing of nations. And longevity researchers are now studying it with an intensity that borders on reverence. Subscribe right now. Let's get into it. Number 1, olive leaf, the leaf of the eternal tree. The olive tree appears throughout Scripture more than any other plant. The dove returned to Noah carrying an olive branch. Kings were anointed with olive oil. The Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus spent his final night, was an olive grove. Some of those trees are believed to still be alive over 2,000 years later, a tree that lives for millennia, and its leaves contain compounds that help explain why. Olive leaf extract contains oleuropein, a polyphenol that has demonstrated extraordinary antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and antimicrobial properties in clinical research. Studies show oleuropein protects cells from oxidative damage, reduces LDL oxidation, lowers blood pressure, improves arterial function, and has documented antiviral and antibacterial effects. But here's what longevity researchers find most fascinating. Oleuropein activates autophagy, the cellular self-cleaning process where your cells break down and recycle damaged components. Autophagy is one of the most important mechanisms for maintaining cellular youth. When it slows down, damaged proteins and dysfunctional mitochondria accumulate. Cells age. Tissues degrade, disease takes hold. Fasting activates autophagy. Caloric restriction activates it, and oleuropein from olive leaves activates it. The tree that Scripture uses as the ultimate symbol of peace, abundance, and enduring life produces leaves that activate the very cellular process most associated with longevity. Ancient people watched olive trees live for thousands of years and considered the tree sacred. They couldn't see autophagy happening inside their cells when they consumed olive leaves. But they observed that people who lived among olive groves and used olive products daily lived longer, stronger, more vital lives. The observation was correct. The mechanism just took 2,000 years to identify. Number 2, fig leaf. The first medicine in Scripture. The fig leaf holds a unique position in biblical narrative. It's the very first plant specifically mentioned as being used by humans. In Genesis 3:7, Adam and Eve sew fig leaves together. Most people read this as a story about covering nakedness, but fig leaves weren't chosen randomly by the authors of Scripture. Figs and fig leaves were among the most important medicinal plants in the ancient Middle East. Modern research shows fig leaves contain furicoumarins, flavonoids, and organic acids with documented anti-diabetic, anti-inflammatory, and antioxidant effects. Clinical studies demonstrate that fig leaf extract reduces insulin requirements in diabetic patients and improves blood sugar control. The leaves have also shown lipid-lowering effects, reducing triglycerides and improving cholesterol profiles. Why does blood sugar matter for aging? Because chronically elevated glucose is one of the most powerful accelerators of biological aging known to science. Excess glucose binds to proteins through a process called glycation, creating advanced glycation end products that damage tissues, stiffen blood vessels, degrade collagen, and accelerate every visible and invisible marker of aging. By supporting blood sugar regulation, fig leaves directly slow one of the most destructive aging pathways in the human body. Traditional use in Middle Eastern medicine included fig leaf tea for diabetes and digestive complaints. The very first plant humanity reaches for in Scripture contains compounds that fight one of the primary biochemical drivers of aging. Number 3. Hyssop leaf, the purification herb with cellular cleaning power. Hyssop appears in some of the most powerful moments in Scripture. Psalm 51:7 says, "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean." At the crucifixion, a sponge was lifted to Jesus on a hyssop branch. Hyssop was chosen for purification rituals throughout the Old Testament. And here's what most people miss. Purification in the biblical context wasn't just spiritual, it was physical, practical, medical. Hyssop, Hyssopus officinalis, contains potent antimicrobial compounds, including carvacrol and thymol, the same compounds found in oregano and thyme. Studies confirm antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal effects. But for longevity, the most interesting property is hyssop's antioxidant capacity. The leaves contain rosmarinic acid and other polyphenols that neutralize free radicals before they can damage cellular DNA. DNA, damage accumulation, is one of the hallmarks of biological aging. Every day, your cells sustain thousands of DNA lesions from oxidative stress. Your repair mechanisms fix most of them. But over decades, unrepaired damage accumulates, leading to cellular dysfunction, senescence, and eventually disease. Antioxidant compounds from plants like hyssop reduce the daily damage load, giving your repair systems a fighting chance to keep up. The biblical command to use hyssop for purification wasn't just ritual, it was cellular housekeeping, cleaning the body at a level the ancient world could observe in its effects but couldn't see under a microscope. Number 4. Grape leaf, the vine of life. Jesus called himself the true vine. The grapevine appears over 500 times in Scripture, and while most attention goes to the fruit and the wine, the leaves themselves were medicine throughout the ancient Mediterranean. Grape leaves, Vitis vinifera, have been used traditionally for inflammatory conditions, circulatory problems, and wound healing. Modern research reveals they contain high concentrations of resveratrol, quercetin, and other polyphenols with profound implications for aging. Resveratrol activates sirtuins, a family of proteins directly involved in cellular repair, DNA maintenance, and lifespan extension. Sirtuin activation is one of the most intensely studied mechanisms in longevity science. Caloric restriction activates sirtuins, exercise activates them, and resveratrol from grape leaves activates them. Studies show grape leaf extract improves venous circulation, reduces leg swelling, strengthens capillary walls, and has documented anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. The vine that Scripture uses as the ultimate metaphor for life, and divine connection produces leaves that activate the very proteins most associated with extended cellular lifespan. That parallel between spiritual symbolism and biological mechanism is either remarkable coincidence or evidence that ancient observation was far more precise than we've given it credit for. Number 5. The leaf of Ezekiel's vision, the cellular repair activator. In Ezekiel 47:12, the prophet describes a vision of paradise where trees grow along a river, whose fruit provides food, and whose leaves are for healing. Many biblical scholars associate these healing trees with specific plants of the ancient Middle East, and among the strongest candidates is the moringa tree. Moringa oleifera, native to the regions surrounding biblical lands, has been called the miracle tree across African, Indian, and Middle Eastern traditions for thousands of years. Its leaves contain over 90 verified nutrients, more than 45 antioxidant compounds, and all 9 essential amino acids. Clinical research shows moringa leaf has anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, neuroprotective, and hepatoprotective effects. But here's what molecular biologists recently discovered that changes the conversation entirely. Moringa leaf compounds activate NRF2, the master regulator of cellular antioxidant defense. When NRF2 is activated, your cells ramp up production of their own protective enzymes, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, catalase. These are the enzymes that neutralize free radicals, repair oxidative damage, and maintain cellular integrity. No pharmaceutical drug currently replicates this broad activation of endogenous cellular defense. Moringa leaves trigger your cells to protect themselves from the inside out. The leaf, whose purpose in Ezekiel's vision was healing, activates the master switch of cellular self-protection. Whether moringa is the specific tree Ezekiel described, we can't be certain, but the connection between ancient descriptions of healing leaves and modern discoveries of cellular repair activation is too precise to dismiss casually. Number 6. Aloe leaf. The plant of immortality. The Egyptians called aloe the plant of immortality. Cleopatra used it daily. In John 19:39, Nicodemus brings 75 pounds of myrrh and aloe for Jesus' burial preparation. 75 pounds. That wasn't symbolic. That was an extraordinary investment in a plant considered among the most powerful healing substances in existence. Aloe vera gel contains acemonin, a polysaccharide that stimulates macrophage activity and supports immune function. Studies show aloe accelerates wound healing, reduces inflammation, supports digestive tissue repair, and has documented antioxidant effects. But for aging, the most relevant finding is aloe's effect on skin collagen and cellular hydration. Clinical research shows oral aloe supplementation improves skin elasticity, reduces wrinkle depth, and increases collagen production in aging skin. The Egyptians didn't call it the plant of immortality because of marketing. They called it that because people who used aloe consistently looked and functioned younger than those who didn't. For 4,000 years, that observation held. Modern dermatological research now explains the mechanism, but the Egyptians didn't need the mechanism. They had the mirror. Number 7, the leaf for the healing of nations. And here we are, the final one. Revelation 22:2 describes the tree of life bearing 12 kinds of fruit, yielding fruit every month, and the leaves of the tree were for the healing of nations. This is the last chapter of the Bible. The final vision, and at the center of paradise stands a tree whose leaves heal everything. Many scholars and ethnobotanists have connected this imagery to trees known throughout the ancient world for extraordinary medicinal properties. Among the strongest candidates is the neem tree, Azadirachta indica. Neem has been called the village pharmacy in Indian tradition for over 5,000 years. Its leaves have been used for virtually every category of human ailment: skin diseases, infections, inflammatory conditions, digestive problems, immune dysfunction, dental health, wound healing, and modern research validates this breadth of traditional use with striking consistency. Studies show neem leaves contain nimbin, nimbidin, and azadirachtin with documented anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antiviral, antifungal, hepatoprotective, and immunomodulatory effects. Research demonstrates neem protects pancreatic beta cells, supports blood sugar regulation, enhances liver detoxification, and has shown anti-cancer properties in multiple cell line studies. But what longevity researchers find most compelling is neem's comprehensive oxidative stress protection. The leaves provide antioxidant defense across multiple cellular compartments simultaneously, not one pathway, all of them. A tree whose leaves heal nations, a plant that addresses virtually every category of disease. The description in Revelation and the clinical profile of neem align with a precision that transcends coincidence. Whether neem is the specific tree of Revelation's vision, nobody can say definitively. But the principle that Scripture communicates is clear. The most powerful healing on earth comes from leaves, not laboratories. Leaves. If you made it to the end, you've seen something extraordinary. 7 leaves connected to biblical tradition, each one validated by modern clinical research, each one containing compounds that fight the specific mechanisms driving biological aging. Hit that like button if this changed how you read Scripture and how you think about healing. Drop a comment telling me which leaf surprised you most. See you in the next one.